Hey guys, it's week 49, and this week I put together a really solid plan for the next several weeks, and I also released a major new feature. Let's get into it. Right after posting last week's video, I got really sick and I've been recovering kind of all week. And as I mentioned last week, I was dealing with some anxiety buildup, but I'm happy to say that purchases and signups have recovered from last week's dip. And that's a very quick way to make me feel much, much better. MRR right now is at $211 and I'm getting pretty close to profitability, but I have a note about that a little bit later in this video I'll go into. So last week I talked about the many different paths and options that I had to choose from and how sometimes that's just really tricky in a startup to figure out what to do next. Paths like doing ads, hitting the street to find more Wix customers, building SEO out. But the nice thing going for me so far is I've got a very steady flow of customers. And because I've reached a certain level of validation, I feel like I have permission to build out more of the product. Right now, I'm focused on the bigger impact features that have been suggested by my customers, ones that have come up more than once or ones that were so clearly in need just from hearing it mentioned. And I'm building up to what I think should be a $19 plan so that I can build a new pricing plan into my offering. This is easier to do now that I have some real world use and time to reflect on what I've put out there. One of the things I want to do is align my plans. So my native plan, which is basically this true SaaS offering for Dropboard when you go to the site, is $19 a month right now, and I had loosely been thinking it would mirror the Wix $7 plan, but be able to be placed on any site, not just a Wix site. And now I'm thinking I want to realign that offering with the success of the Wix marketplace, and I want to pull out a $9 plan that matches up with what I'm offering on Wix today, as well as a $19 plan. And for the native offering, I want this to be a per user plan. And ultimately, I want to walk my way up to a $49 a month per user plan for the full applicant tracking system that I want to build. And I'm going to call that Dropboard Pro. I'm not quite sure yet if I'm going to offer that plan on the Wix platform or not. It's kind of hazy right now. If I do, I'll need to figure out some kind of either per user pricing or just have a higher price point in Wix. Thinking all this out has given me a real clear product vision. Dropboard Starter is what I have today. It's what I'm offering, it's what people are paying for right now, and it's the simple possible execution of the solution that I'm offering. It also gives a great taste of how I think, at least, my products are a joy to use, and hopefully it serves as an enticement to my users to grow along with me. It's also about as cheap as I can possibly offer a plan. Then Dropboard Business is going to be the next level up, and it's going to be the refined version of Starter. Starter is kind of the minimal things you need to do the job, and I'm kind of looking at it from the perspective of somebody asking me, what features can you knock off so that I can just get this at a lower price? And that's what Starter is. So the business plan is going to be everything you should have once you have a little bit of budget to spend, while Starter is kind of the, if you don't have the budget, here's the way you can kind of skimp out. Perfect example is the feature that I built this week I'll talk about in just a second, which is the candidate database. In today's version of Dropboard, which is going to be Starter, when somebody submits an application for a job that you've posted, you get an email with everything you need for that candidate. But you can never really go back and look at all the candidates who have applied. I'm calling that the candidate database. And in the business plan, you'll be able to actually view all of your candidates, search them, sort them, and all that. It's a really good example of how these plans are different and how customers can grow along into the bigger plans. And then Dropboard Pro takes the current idea and scales it to what a full applicant tracking system would look like if it were done with the same mindset and ease of use as the starter and business plans that I'm working on. It's a natural step up from business because in business you have candidates you're managing, but now you need a hiring process to put those candidates through. This is a really helpful exercise for me this week to break those plans out, and it's given me a really clear directive. And I love that, since startups can often find themselves in the land of not knowing what to do. Sometimes what to do is really clear and you're reacting to something, and that's always really useful. Other times you just don't know what to do with yourself, and while you desperately need to have a fixed vision every week of what you're doing, you don't want to force it or get yourself chasing ghosts. You want your choices to be well thought out and always moving you towards growth and away from dangerous time sucks and tangents. And that's because every minute, every hour, every week matters in startup land. So by focusing on my starter and business plans, I know just what to do, and it's gonna take a bit of work to get there. I wanna prep Dropboard for a product hunt launch, but I definitely wanna incorporate these changes before I do that. And I'd love to dovetail these two things. I wanna do a 30-day coming soon product hunt pre-launch. And while those days are ticking down, I want to be building out the full prototype design for Dropboard Pro so I can kind of tease it. Before I start that 30-day countdown, I really want to nail these two plans and have everything kind of set in stone and ready to go so that I can focus on that prototype design. Time to update you guys on a cool feature that I built this week called the candidate database. This is something, like I said, is going to go into the business plan, and I plan to send a marketing campaign to all my users to give this feature away for free in exchange for feedback. So hopefully not only is that a way to get some feedback on a brand new feature, but maybe I'll convert some of those expired trials now that I have something that maybe they needed to do their work. So where did this feature come from? It's kind of an obvious feature, to be honest. Whenever candidates submit their applications to your business, you need a way to go back and look at all those candidates. So today I've just been emailing you every time a candidate applies, and that works really, really well, but you can never go back and kind of look at things top down. So that's what this is about. It's about searching candidates, sorting candidates, finding candidates by a specific job, downloading their resume, and having an easy way to reach out to those candidates. It's a pretty simple feature, but I think I've done it really, really nice. It looks really slick, and you can view cover letters for these candidates. You can export them to CSV. So there's a lot of functionality built into this candidate database that I think really elevates the Dropboard product. And multiple people have asked for this, so that's going to be those are the first people I'm going to reach back out to as soon as I basically post this video. Okay, earlier in this video, I mentioned a note about how I'm approaching profitability with my revenue, and I wanted to mention an update from a few weeks back when I talked about the costs of my production grade infrastructure. So my projected costs were around the 170 to 180 range for AWS, and then my non-infrastructure costs are running at about $115, which puts me just under $300 a month for my operating costs. My production grade infrastructure doesn't skimp on any security or scalability aspect, but one of the shortcuts I was using was to be running only a single node on the database cluster. This isn't really recommended by Amazon because in the event of a failover, there's no other node to switch to. And I did not think that would be a problem for me in the short term. And my plan was, as soon as revenue got up a little bit more, to add that second node as that backup. And well, wouldn't you know it, this weekend, my database went down. It just randomly crapped out and the site went down. And I can tell you for a fact, it's not because of crazy traffic or crazy queries on the database. Sometimes AWS instances will just crap out. So in that moment, I was kind of freaking out and booting up another node for that cluster, and it was taking frustratingly long. It took almost an hour to get that node back up, which is completely unacceptable. In my head, I had figured, well, if something does happen, I'll add another node and maybe it'll be like a 10-15 minute downtime. And that made me realize I definitely need to have two nodes running. I can't skimp on that. So unfortunately, that adds another $50 to my costs, and it doesn't really gain me anything. I mean, it gains me security, which is huge, but kind of a frustrating thing to have to do, but I was gonna do it anyway, and I just gotta do it now. So that extra $50 pushes my cost to close to around $340 or so. So at 211 MRR right now, I'm pushing out that profitability line just a little bit farther. And here's the great thing about bootstrapping. Some aspects of your app and production setup cannot be figured out in the development lab. It's just not possible. And when they happen, you often learn something significant from it, and you put in a fix or a behavior change that solves it forever. So I'm happy that it happened now while I'm small. All right, guys, that's it for this week. And I have a few more features to build before I can get this Dropboard business offering really put together. So next week, I'm gonna be tackling more of those and running an email campaign to my customers to let them know what I've been working on. Hopefully I'll convert some of those expired trials based on this feature giveaway and also maybe get some great feedback. All right, I'll see you guys next week.